What are some things you do as a writer to get inspired?
To be inspired, okay, so I like to go to galleries and I like to read lots, conversations, and also quite often work in partnership with other people when I'm writing. So I will bounce ideas off people, and then sometimes just ideas just come to you, because you keep your mind open to different things. But yeah, so I look at the newspapers, look at the news that's going on, and then occasionally I sort of think of a what if situation.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of things really,
Um,
observations.
from a scriptwriter's point of view, what are some questions I should be asking myself in my work?
Okay, so you should be asking yourself about the character's motivation, why your character is on this journey that you want to take them on. I suppose you need to think about the story structure and the story arc. Are you writing short film?
Yeah.
Yep, so you need to ask yourself, predominantly with short film, how do I tell this story visually as much as possible without dialogue? Especially first time short film writers should be thinking about the short film as a showcase for your talents and what you can do visually. So that's what I would be thinking. I would be thinking about showing and not telling.
Okay.
Also finding your own style and voice by looking at lots of different films and thinking, which I think I know your questions now because I know where this is going, but you know exactly what you're doing, which is to find that world that you think your style and voice kind of sits in, and then gleaning from that and learning from it, and then again eventually your own voice and style will come through all that, because you're like a magpie as an artist and as a filmmaker. You pick lots of different things and then your style. David Bowie is a brilliant example of somebody like that, because he loved so many wonderful things and he brought it into his art form, which was rock music basically, pop music, but he loved theatre, he loved mime, he loved dance, he loved rock and roll, he loved things that to do with different cultures like Japan and European and Paris, all these things. And if you look at his albums, you can see all those influences, can't you?
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
that's what you have to do, especially at a young age. Experiment, take chances and push the boat out, but also learn the craft of how to produce something.
Okay. All right then. Do you have any tips you could give me in order to create a unique story?
Yeah, again, I would spend a lot of time planning, and I would think about predominantly your character and how that character is going to be developed. So you need to know your character's needs. What is it about that character? And you should, by the end of understanding that character, you should be able to pick them up and put them absolutely anywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
When you're writing something, to begin with, you should sort of explore where you want to take that character, but then you need to think about some sort of structure to your story eventually. So you'd want to write a synopsis. That synopsis may change.
Okay.
Before you get anywhere near script writing, the planning stage is absolutely essential. It's very creative still, but the temptation for lots of young and first time writers is to jump straight into script.
Yeah.
And every experienced writer will tell you that that's a mistake. Play with ideas and come up with
kind of
different.
mess around a little bit.
Yeah, and just let it breathe a little bit before you go, right, that's where this could go. The other great thing about film is that you should really think about those images that you want people to stay with them. What do you want them, at the end of your film, what do you want them to leave the theatre thinking?
Yeah.
How do you want them to feel? So think about those kind of things. What's important to you, right, should by the end of that film be important to them.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I get it. I personally struggle with writer's block at the beginning of my process. So, do you have any tips for overcoming this problem?
Yeah, use the things that are there. So like, do a character study and just use the formula. So just write who are they, where are they, what are they doing, what's their secret, who are their family. And as you write and you just keep writing, keep asking yourself some questions and keep prompting yourself with things. And then once you've got a few ideas, then you could ask another question: what if? Keep asking what if, what if, what if, and eventually you'll be unblocked and lots of ideas will just come flowing out. So it's just find prompts. There's lots of prompts online as well.
Okay.
But sometimes just write yourself into a story. Just let your pen go while you're typing, and don't worry where it goes. It might be that you typed for a couple of hours just for the sake of it, and you might just be looking out the window and describing what's going on. But in that process, there's a connection between the end of your tip for your fingers and your brain.
Yeah.
And all the time your brain is triggering ideas. The other thing to do is to, once you've done that, go for a walk, leave it, go and do something else. Yeah? But you've got something going on in a back burner here.
Yeah.
And eventually ideas will come to you, or you think, that's where I've got to start that film. Yeah. With a short film, the other thing is you've got to hit the floor running. So start with action.
Okay.
All right? Make sure you start with a purposeful piece of kind of a visual thing that shows us immediately what this story's about. It's like the hook. Yeah. Short stories are very similar. You need to sort of give us a really it can be subtle, but it needs to be, do you know what I mean? You need to get, that's no good for that, isn't it? You need to get the attention so they go, I wonder what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
You want your audience to want to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And you need to keep that momentum going with short film.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no room for anything other than very effective and efficient writing. So each line and each moment needs to develop either character or plot. Character is plot at the end of the day. So.
Yeah.
Right.
My script is inspired by the Neo-Realism movement that obviously started in Italy, but then carried on to my country in Albania.
Mm-hmm.
Is Neo-Realism something that you ever watched or experienced, maybe growing up?
I've seen some, yeah. I'm aware of some of the Italian films, and in anticipation of your next question, a lot of the movies that I've enjoyed over the years have been inspired by that movement as well. So yeah, I really like that movement.
Do you have any specific films that you've seen that?
Is it The Bicycle Thieves?
Yeah.
That's something everybody talks about, that one. My brain. Somebody asked yesterday some questions about things, and I was like, I know what I like, but I can't remember the titles of them. But what I do like, and I've become one of my favourite filmmakers, and I'm pretty sure he was inspired by that movement, is Ken Loach.
Okay.
I love Ken Loach films, and they're very realistic. And numerous other people that I think there's touches of the Neo-Realism stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah.
With the decline of Neo-Realism films over the last few decades and less people knowing about it, do you think it would be difficult to modernise this concept?
No, because I do think there's germs of it in lots of different things now. I think it's played its part in the evolution of film, as lots of movements probably have, and lots of particular film directors have, and then that legacy is just passed down and changed. And as I said to you a little bit earlier on, it's like, the Ken Loaches and even people coming through now like Cleo Bernard, they've absorbed all this work, they've absorbed other work as well, and then they find their own voice. And I think that's what art does. Each generation acknowledges what's been before, but then moves it on, and film has done that.
Okay.
Yeah. I do think at the moment though we seem to be going through a period where, with film, especially big film, it's all a bit kind of samey, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's less originality, I think, coming through now. I mean, I'm not adverse to a bit of Marvel myself, but it's a bit too much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I do like a bit of gritty drama, and yeah, especially I think the Europeans have always done it really, really well. I like French movies as well. So.
Yeah. Like
But you've made me think now. I think I'm going to have to go back to some of my and have a good look, because I've got Curzon at home. I'm pretty sure there's some old Italian stuff on there. Do you know any titles, and I can see if I've seen any?
Ones that I've watched and researched, there was obviously Bicycle Thieves. There was Rome Open City, and I can't quite remember anymore. I think there was Umberto D that I was watching. I've watched quite a few Roberto Rossellini films, and obviously the movement went from Italy, and they moved during the 70s. It moved on to my country, and that's how like the film industry kind of started its foundations in Albania and Kosovo.
Mm-hmm.
And we called them communist films because obviously the Italians and Albania during that time, they weren't very good friends. So all the movies kind of based around when Italy invaded Albania with the fascist regime. So that's kind of how it started. And a lot of their movies are on YouTube. So I've just been watching those, getting back to it because I used to watch them a lot when I was a kid as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's quite a rich history, and so you're going to bring all that into your film, are you?
Yeah, I'd like to try and do something based in my country, but modernise it a little bit, because there's obviously with the Neo-Realist movement, they do a lot with like a country's power and how it reflects on its citizens. I'd like to do something that's modernised. There are a lot of different things with the current government in my country, so I'd like to see how that reflects on its people as well. I've been asking my cousins what's going on and whatnot,
So will your film script be set in Albania itself?
I'd like to, yeah. I'd like to. So.
And when this is over, will you get a chance to go out there and do some filming?
I'd really like to try and do something with this. If it turns out well and it's a good piece of
Well,
writing.
I think you're doing the perfect thing then, because if you can make a really nice little 10-minute short, that's your calling card to get funding, and then hopefully get some funding in Albania as well as possibly here as well.
Yeah.
That would be great. You think you're going to film school next year?
I'm going to university after, but I'm taking a gap year, so I think if this script gets grows some legs, I'd like to work on it a bit more and maybe go home and try and do something with it.
Yeah, just use this course as a way to get that process started.
Yeah.
Get a couple of drafts of the script on the go. I'll help you with that.
Yeah.
And then you've got something to take to people to get other people on board.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of being director as well?
I'd like to, yeah. For this project, I think I'm just going to write the script because I want it to be really good.
Yeah.
So from there, maybe once after this course is finished, I can sort of hit the ground running with it. So.
Yeah. Well, do have a look at lots of online scripts as well and see how they're written.
Yeah.
Remember to make it as visual as possible.
Yeah.
And to be you might write a couple of drafts, and then you need to edit. Remember, that's a big part of the process, and that becomes more and more of a part of the process as you go forward as well, because other people will get their hands on your script. Yeah. And they'll go, no, and then actors get involved, and then they start saying things differently or doing things differently. You go, oh, I quite like that, and don't do that, I like that. So it's a very organic experience film.
Yeah.
So script is just the first stepping stone, really, and then after that, so quite often a script at the beginning looks very, very different by the time it hits the screen and people see it.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of that process.
No, yeah,
that's very much.
I was watching this video. It was Quentin Tarantino talking about tips that he would give to screenwriters starting out, and he talked about subtext work, and I found it quite interesting, but I didn't quite understand what it meant. Do you think you could?
Yeah, subtext basically is if I was saying something to you without actually saying what I mean. Also, it can give through dialogue you can get a sense of what something implies. So I'll give you, for instance, there's a scene that I quote because it's a nice easy scene for people to get their heads around it. There's lots of different things, the way of doing it. But there's a scene where a father is making a sandwich for his daughter.
Okay.
And he makes his sandwich and he gives it to her and she says, I don't like peanut butter and jam.
Okay.
And he says, really? Since when? And she says, since forever, Dad. Do you see what's... So, Dad's not been about, Dad's not paid attention, Dad's an absent father.
Okay.
That's how it can work. So it's not what's said, it's what's implied, it's what's behind it, it's what's running underneath it. So you could say to somebody, are you wearing those trousers today? Yeah? Okay. What does that mean?
Well, you don't like the
Don't
trousers.
wear those trousers today. Yeah?
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I get it now. Because when he explained it, I was getting a little bit confused.
Yeah, see, some people are great at what they do, some people are better at explaining at it. I would rather be him.
I'd rather be him as well.
But I'm better at explaining at it than
Yeah.
it probably. But yeah, that's kind of, you just play around with subtext. It's a great tool for implying, because sometimes people don't say what they mean.
Yeah.
You can have a whole conversation with two people where they just skirt around the actual, what we call the white elephant in the room. This is big issue between these two people, and they're just going, are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. So what are we doing today? Oh, what do you want to do today? Do you know what I mean? And all the time you can hear there's kind of venom, or there's an undercurrent, there's something going on, and it's not right.
Okay. All right. Now I get it now. Right. Thank you so much.
It's all right,
Ray.
mate.